What if the weakest person you know is a version of yourself you choose to be? Every single morning, you've been taught to fight this version, to motivate it, to bargain with it. But you've missed the secret. This isn't about motivation. This is about selection. That weak self is not a permanent part of you. It is a state, an assumption you've allowed to become your master. It is the silent architect of every dream you've abandoned and every promise you've broken. But its reign can end, because in the next few minutes, you will not be given a map. You will be given a mirror. And in it, you will finally see the one true power that can erase this version forever. The I am within you. Stay until the end, and you won't just feel different. You will be different, because the you that started this video will no longer be the you that finishes it. There is a version of you that operates in the shadows of your consciousness. It is the silent thief that enters your inner world while you sleep, not to steal your possessions, but to drain your very essence. This is the part of you that whispers sweet justifications when the alarm sounds before dawn, convincing you that rest is more sacred than resolve. It dismantles your discipline brick by brick, not with a bang, but with a quiet, persistent sigh of surrender. Every promise you make to yourself, to rise earlier, to work harder, to be better, it holds in its hands and lets it turn to dust. This weak version isn't an enemy you fight in a grand battle. It's a subtle poison you willingly drink, a comfortable state you select moment by moment. It's the ghost in your own machine, the silent architect of your undoing, and it thrives on your acceptance of the ordinary. Its power doesn't come from its own strength, but from your forgotten I am. Now go deeper. This version of you has become an expert, a master craftsman of failure. Its greatest skill is making you believe that the decision to fail is your own rational choice. It disguises procrastination as planning and fear as caution. Day after day, it builds a compelling case for inaction, presenting a mountain of excuses so logical, so seductive that you can't help but agree. It convinces you that tomorrow is a magical land where all your power awaits, but tomorrow never comes. It is a phantom destination created to keep you in the stagnant state of now. This inner saboteur doesn't shout. It reasons. It erodes your will with 1,000 gentle suggestions, 1,000 broken promises, until the act of giving up feels as natural as breathing. You are not just failing. You are being trained, with your own permission, to become an expert in the art of the unfinished. And what is the consequence of tolerating this presence? A slow creeping drift into a life you never consciously chose. You forget the fire that once burned within you, the grand dreams and desires that are your birthright. You find yourself in a comfortable prison of your own making, a velvet prison where the walls are padded with excuses and the door is wide open. You could leave at any moment, yet you don't. Why? Because the weak self has made the familiar feel safe and the unknown feel terrifying. This is the grand illusion. This stagnation makes you question your own worth, asking, why am I still here? Why haven't I finished what I started? You look at the open door, but your imagination, the very tool of creation, has been trained to see only the dangers outside, not the freedom. You have assumed the state of the prisoner, and so the prisoner you are. But that's only the surface. The greatest danger this version poses is not its call to laziness, but its power of rationalization. It is a master logician, an inner attorney that argues on behalf of your own limitations. It offers you the short-term comfort of I'm too tired or I don't have time in exchange for your long-term power and identity. It is a terrible bargain, a trade of your infinite inner world for a moment of fleeting ease. This is how your true self is sedated. This is how your operant power is put to sleep. It convinces you that your weaknesses are permanent fixtures of your personality, not temporary states you have fallen into. It whispers that this comfort is what you deserve, all while it dismantles the very foundation of the man or woman you were meant to become. It is a slow suicide of the spirit masked as self-care. Here's what changes everything. You begin to see that this prison of velvet is not a place but a state of consciousness. It is an assumption you have been living in for so long that you've mistaken it for your own skin. The constant nagging questions, the what-ifs and why-nots, are not signs of your failure. They are echoes of your true I am, the powerful self that is rattling the cage, reminding you that you were not born to live a half-life. The frustration you feel is not the enemy. It is the first spark of divine rebellion. It is the feeling, the sacred key, that signals a shift is not only possible but imminent. The weak version of you can only exist as long as you identify with it. But you are not it. You are the observer of it. And in that separation, in that moment of pure awareness, lies the beginning of your freedom. Action. This is the great divide. It is the razor's edge that separates the weak from the resilient, the dreamer from the creator. Your stronger self, the I am consciousness you seek, is not born in the soft cradle of comfort. It is not found in affirmations whispered into the void. It is forged. It is forged in the searing heat of the moment you choose to act, despite every feeling screaming at you to stop. It is built in the silent hours before dawn, in the work you do when no one is watching, when there are no applauses, no rewards, no immediate validation. This is the alchemy of true power. Every promise you keep to yourself, no matter how small, is a hammer blow shaping the steel of your will. The weak version of you thrives on broken promises. The strong version feeds on integrity. It understands that feeling is the key, but action is what turns the key in the lock. Now go deeper. Your inner strength, your operant power, comes from one simple, brutal act: saying no to your old self. And you must do it every single day, without mercy, without negotiation. The weak self is a master negotiator. It will plead for one more day of rest, for a single exception to the rule. It will promise to start tomorrow with double the effort. These are lies. To give in is to feed the saboteur. To say no is to starve it. This is not a battle of motivation. It is a battle of selection. You are selecting which self you will inhabit in this moment. The decision must come from you and only you. No one can kill that weak version for you. It is your shadow, and only by turning toward the light of conscious action can you make it fall behind you. You must choose. Will you build your inner guide, or will you continue to feed your inner saboteur? Here's what changes everything. The weak version of you cannot survive consistency. It is a creature of impulse and emotion, and it withers under the steady, relentless pressure of disciplined action. You destroy it not with one heroic effort, but with 1,000 small cuts day after day. You kill it every time you choose to do the hard thing when the easy thing is available. You kill it when you feel tired, but you begin anyway. You kill it when you feel fear, but you take the first step. This is the secret. The feeling doesn't have to go away. The fear doesn't have to vanish. You simply act in spite of it. This consistent action creates a new inner state, a new assumption about who you are. The universe does not respond to your intentions or your wishes. It responds to the state from which you operate. And consistent action is the most powerful way to impress a new state upon your consciousness. But that's only the surface. Each time you act in defiance of your feelings, you are doing more than just completing a task. You are fundamentally rewriting your identity. The old you, the one who says "I'm not disciplined" or "I always quit," is a story you've told yourself. It is an assumption that has hardened into a fact through repetition. But action is the great disruptor of stories. When you complete a workout you wanted to skip, you are not just exercising your body. You are providing irrefutable proof to your subconscious mind that you are a person who follows through. When you fulfill a promise you made to yourself, you are not just checking a box. You are declaring, "I am a person of my word." This is how you change from within. This is how you already are the person you want to be. You just have to act your way into that realization. The imagination is your greatest tool in this forge. Before you act, you must first see yourself as the one who acts. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What would it feel like to be the person who is disciplined, focused, and powerful? Inhabit that state in your imagination first. Feel the certainty. Feel the strength. Then from that state, take action. The action itself will feel different because it is flowing from a new source, a new assumption. The weak self operates from a state of doubt and hesitation. The strong self, your true I am, operates from a state of knowing. It knows it is already done. The action is simply the natural unfolding of what is already true in the inner world. You are not trying to become strong. You are acting from the strength that you already are. The time for gentle whispers is over. Real transformation, the kind that shatters your old world and builds a new one, does not begin with a comforting lie. It begins with a moment of brutal, unflinching honesty. It begins when you look in the mirror and finally admit the truth. You allowed this. You allowed yourself to drift. You allowed the promises to be broken, the discipline to fade, the dreams to gather dust. This weak version of yourself did not take power. You handed it over piece by piece in a series of silent daily surrenders. Procrastination was not a force that attacked you. It was a sanctuary you chose. The truth is not here to wound you. Oh no, it is a divine alarm clock, loud and merciless, sent to wake you from a long and comfortable slumber. It is the reflection of reality, pure and without distortion, and it is waiting for you to look. Now go deeper. You must understand that your current state is self-imposed. The chains you feel are not made of external circumstance. Not your job, not your past, not other people. They are forged in the furnace of your own consciousness. Every broken promise was a link you personally added. Every act of procrastination was you tightening the shackle. You are the sole operant power in your universe. There is no other. To blame the outside world is to give away your godhood. The truth, in its infinite power, simply reflects back to you the assumptions you have held as true. If you have assumed the identity of someone who is stuck, life will dutifully present you with evidence of being stuck. The world is your mirror. To change the reflection, you must not argue with the mirror. You must change the self that is being reflected. Here's what changes everything. Change is not born of gentle consideration. It is not a polite negotiation with your old habits. It is born of fire. It is born the moment you can no longer tolerate living the way you have been living. A moment of sacred disgust, of divine intolerance. This is the breaking point. It is the moment when the pain of remaining the same finally becomes greater than the fear of changing. This feeling is not a weakness. It is your ultimate strength finally rising to the surface. It is your I am consciousness screaming, enough. It is the primal recognition that the velvet prison has become a torture chamber, and you must get out or die. Do not run from this feeling. Do not numb it. Welcome it. For this holy fire is the fuel for your resurrection. It is the feeling that is the key to your escape. But what has been stopping you? Let's name the demons. Those soft blankets you wrap yourself in. The justifications. I'm just so tired. I need more time to figure things out. I'll start when things calm down. These are not reasons. They are lullabies. They are sweet songs the weak self sings to keep your inner giant asleep. They mask the simple, terrifying truth of your stagnation. The time has come for courage. The courage to stand before your own reflection and ask the one question that matters without blaming a single soul or circumstance. Why have I not changed? Ask it and demand an honest answer. Peel back the layers of excuses. Go past the comfortable stories. What is the real reason you have chosen to remain here, in this state you claim to despise? The transformation occurs in that moment of pure, unmasked self-responsibility. It happens when you stop pruning the leaves of bad habits and finally dare to look at the root. The root is the story you tell yourself about yourself. It's the hidden assumption that you're not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. Facing the truth is not about self-flagellation. It is about liberation. It is the act of dropping the mask and letting your true self, the I am, finally breathe. This truth may not feel comfortable. In fact, it will likely burn. But that is the point. It is burning away the dead wood to make room for new growth. It is clearing the fog so you can see the path forward. And that path does not lead through comfort. It leads directly through the heart of productive discomfort. Let me tell you a secret about the identity you've accepted. You are not lazy. You are not undisciplined. You are merely familiar. You have become deeply, intimately familiar with a slow rhythm of life, a state of low energy output, and you have mistaken this familiarity for your true nature. But an identity is not a stone carving. It is a sand dune. It is shaped day by day, moment by moment, by the winds of 1,000 tiny choices. The you that you believe yourself to be is the cumulative result of every time you chose comfort over challenge, every time you said later instead of now. It is a habit of being, nothing more. And because it was built, I assure you it can be unbuilt. The first step is to stop confusing your current state with your permanent self. You are not the habit. You are the consciousness that observes the habit. Now let's go to the core. Why do you truly give up on a task? It is rarely because you are physically or mentally incapable. It is because you have a low tolerance for emotional discomfort. The moment a task becomes difficult, frustrating, or boring, an internal alarm sounds. This feeling, this friction, is what you have been trained to interpret as a stop sign. The weak self equates this tension with danger, screaming, "Abort! Retreat to comfort!" You quit not because you can't, but because you are unaccustomed to the feeling of productive struggle. The inability you perceive is an illusion created by your deep-seated aversion to this feeling. Most of the world's great successes are not born from superior talent, but from a superior ability to sit in the fire of discomfort longer than anyone else. Here is where the forging happens. You must retrain your reflex to crumble at the first sign of resistance. You must teach your brain a new association. Tension is not danger. Tension is the feeling of growth. It is the feeling of your consciousness expanding. The next time you feel that urge to quit, that wave of frustration, I want you to pause, to observe it, to feel it fully without judgment, and then take one more small action. Just one. Send one more email. Do one more rep. Read one more page. In that moment, you are not just completing a task. You are performing a sacred act of alchemy. You are teaching your entire nervous system that you are the master of your emotional state, not its slave. You are proving to yourself on a cellular level that you can handle what is unpleasant. This practice, repeated daily, does more than build discipline. It expands your very capacity to hold power. Every time you persevere through a difficult situation, you stretch the container of your being. You prove to your subconscious mind that you are bigger than your problems, stronger than your excuses. Your nervous system, which once saw difficulty as a threat, begins to see it as a challenge, an opportunity. This is how you build true, unshakable confidence. It doesn't come from telling yourself you're great. It comes from having a library of irrefutable evidence stored in your own body that you have faced discomfort and emerged stronger. You are no longer hoping you can handle pressure. You have a deep inner knowing that you can, because you have done so time and time again. And from this practice, a profound shift in your consciousness occurs. You stop seeing discomfort as something to be avoided and begin to see it as a guide. It becomes your compass, pointing you directly toward the areas where your greatest growth lies. You begin to seek it out, to welcome the friction, because you now understand the secret. Comfort is the territory of the weak self. Comfort is where dreams go to die. The struggle, the tension, the challenge. This is the fertile ground where your true I am is nourished and revealed. You no longer run from the fire. You walk into it, knowing it is not there to burn you but to purify you. This tolerance for discomfort is the bedrock upon which your new identity, your chosen self, will be consciously and deliberately built. The cycle of stagnation, the endless loop of trying and quitting, is fueled by a single lie: the feeling of helplessness. It's an insidious assumption that you are at the mercy of your own ingrained habits and fears. But to change, you must shatter this assumption with the hammer of conscious action. You must begin to act in a way that directly contradicts the labels you've given yourself. If you have worn the label of procrastinator, you must act with deliberate, immediate purpose. If you have assumed the identity of someone who quits, you must finish something, anything, no matter how small. This isn't about grand gestures. It's about a quiet internal revolution where your actions begin to defy the old story. You are not trying to feel different. You are deciding to be different and proving it to yourself with action. Now go deeper. The most difficult part of this entire transformation is not the action itself. It is the death of the story you tell about yourself. Letting go of that familiar narrative, "This is just how I am," is the true battlefield. That old story, as painful as it is, offers a strange comfort, a ready-made excuse for your lack of progress. To create a new you, the old you must be allowed to die. And there is no neutral ground in this process. You are in every moment either evolving or decaying. You are either taking conscious action to build the self you desire, or you are passively allowing the currents of old conditioning to erode you. The choice is binary. It is stark, and it is made in the now. Are you the author of your next chapter, or a reader of your last one? Here's the hidden danger they never tell you about. The real prison is not the bad habits themselves. It is the rationalization of those habits until you no longer recognize them as bad. It is calling indiscipline going with the flow. It is calling fear being realistic. When you rationalize a weakness, you integrate it into your identity. You claim it. This is the ultimate deception of the weak self. True consciousness, true operant power, begins with the brutal honesty of seeing things as they are. To see the bad habit as a bad habit, a flaw in the programming, not a feature of the user. This recognition is the first act of liberation. It is the moment you stop identifying with the weakness and start observing it as something to be changed, selected against. And where does confidence come from in all of this? Stop waiting for it. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. It is the reward for it. It is the natural consequence of doing the thing you said you would do. It is forged in the fire of acting before you feel ready. Every time you act despite your fear, despite your doubt, you cast a vote for your new identity. True, unshakable confidence is not a feeling you conjure up. It is the quiet internal knowing that you can trust yourself. And you learn to trust yourself by keeping promises to yourself, especially when no one is watching. Confidence is the echo of your own integrity. It is the shadow cast by a spine made of steel, forged by 1,000 small, difficult actions. This is how a new identity is truly built. It is not a wish. It is a construction project. Every small intentional act is a brick. Every promise kept is the mortar. You are rewriting your central code, your core assumption of I am, not with words but with deeds. You are building an identity that is no longer a hostage to a fleeting emotion or a challenging circumstance. You are becoming the cause, not the effect. This new you isn't something you hope to be one day. It is something you are, right now, in the moment of conscious action. Your feelings will eventually catch up to your new state of being, but you must lead the way. You must act from the self you have selected, not the one you have inherited. The weak version of you was never a person. It was a shadow, And today you have stepped into the light. So who are you now? Declare it in the comments below. What is the one promise your true self will keep before this day is over? Subscribe and turn on notifications, because your new identity is built with daily consciousness. And do not stop here. If this message awoke something in you, the next one will give it a voice. Click the video on your screen now and go deeper.